How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is Drew, and in this video I have a question for you and everyone else. What are we going to do about college rankings? Now, they've been around since the 1980s and they've been very popular, and people have made a lot of decisions about where they're going to school based off of that. But we've also seen some recent controversy, and there's been a call to kind of reform the student rankings or get rid of them altogether, especially the U.S. News and World Report rankings. And if you've been paying attention recently, 11 law schools have pulled out of the U.S. News rankings because they feel like this is not legit, this is not authentic, we don't want any part in this. So what happens next? Well, Colin Diver, who is actually the author of a book about this called Breaking Ranks, How the Rankings Industry Rules Higher Education and What to Do About It, he has some theories. And one of the things is, as these law schools have pulled out, they have also been trying to get their undergraduate colleagues to pull out of these rankings altogether, but they're not quite seeing that happen. So Diver has a few thoughts on the law schools themselves pulling out and also why undergraduate institutions are not. And so he said law schools are sort of built around this idea of justice and serving the public good. And when you have reports or formulas that US News uses where they kind of massage numbers and it's not quite accurate, that's not really in alignment with what these law schools stand for. So that's one reason why they are probably pulling out. And the other reason why undergraduate institutions are not doing this or not taking any action is because they feel that potentially the traditional college-age student is a little bit more impressionable. And he used the word gullible. I don't know if that's the right word, but they are going to be more impressionable when it comes to looking at rankings and seeing which schools are best, even when they don't know where to begin. And so that might be a driving force why there isn't really much change within the undergraduate rankings. Now, others say that this is really becoming an unhealthy obsession because it's on both sides. Institutions are fighting to be ranked high so they can take that sticker and put it on their website. And they can say on all of their marketing materials that we are ranked number whatever, or we are in the top 20 of the liberal arts colleges according to US News and World Report. And then on the flip side, you have families and prospective students fighting to get into what they would consider a, quote, good school. But we don't really know what a good school is, even when we are looking at these rankings, even when we are looking at the methodology that US News, for example, uses. We don't quite know. And if anything, the rankings aren't really rankings. They should just be used as a starting point for families and prospective students who don't know where to begin. And that's sort of my advice to you. If you are a prospective student or the family of a prospective student watching this, use it as sort of an encyclopedia of schools. I wouldn't really pay attention to the numbers and how they're ranked. Just use it to gather information on those schools and then start to look at those schools through the lens of what matters to you most. So for example, say you live in the Pacific Northwest and there is a school that it's ranked pretty high and it seems pretty interesting, but it's on the East Coast. Is it realistic that you are going to go and move all the way to the East Coast and be able to do that, not get homesick, be able to afford that, and potentially not be able to travel home during holidays or vacations? So that's one thing. The other thing is this school might be ranked in the top 15 or maybe even the top 10 and you like this school, but do they offer the program that you're interested in? What does it look like in terms of placing students in internships? How do they prepare students for graduation after that? And then ultimately, this is something that I will always rest on, and I know it's not possible for everyone, but you have to see the campus for yourself in order to see if you feel like you belong or if you feel like you fit there. And if you can't do that, there are virtual options. I know I have a video where I talked about UVisit, which is a virtual campus tour platform that a lot of schools use. And I think it's a very authentic, it's very quality. And you can get a pretty good feel for these campuses if you can't see them in person for yourself. So these are things you need to consider, not the rankings. Excuse me. There are other rankings with other methodologies that are much different, and I think rankings aren't going to go away anytime soon. So I think what needs to happen is we need to change how we use them, and not necessarily have schools fighting for the top ranking, but just to be on that list. Because there's also sort of talk about Ivy League undergraduate programs, or the undergraduate Ivy Leagues pulling out of the US News rankings. And there was talk about, Yale's known as the best law school in the country, and how it should be significant and send a message with the fact that they pulled out of rankings. But how I see that is, if we already knew that they were the best law school in the country, and if we already know that the Ivy Leagues are prestigious or, quote, good schools, then why does it matter if they're in the rankings in the first place? Because I don't think the rankings are about those schools. I think the rankings are about the regional Midwest institutions whose enrollment is falling because people are moving out of the area. These are the schools who need visibility, because in a sense, this is marketing for those schools. Those are the schools that need to be on the rankings. The Ivy Leagues, the larger Research One, well-known institutions, mostly because of their athletic programs, those are the ones that really aren't going to suffer whether or not they stay in the rankings. So I think the rankings still need to exist for the purpose of a lot of these other small schools getting visibility that they need. But those are just my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts as always. So let me know what you think about the rankings, if they should change, if they should go away, if schools should pull out, or if there needs to be a stronger partnership between the schools in the rankings, but excuse me, in a more ethical way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit like, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.